All right. We will call the Langsberg City Planning Commission meeting Monday, May 19th to order. 7:02. Innes. Here. Beavers.
Yep.
Ridsdale. And Vidmar.
Yes.
Vidmar and Ridsdale are absent. Is there any public to comment?
Nope.
For an approval of the minutes of the February meeting? I'll second. I guess we are all in favor of that.
We're the only one left.
Yeah. So motion carries for the approval of the minutes from the February meeting. All right, first item of business is the city improvement plan.
Parallelly for the CI. Then I had to put out Georgia weather, didn't you?
Yep. So.
Trying to keys at the
So we're, they added some stuff to it, and then, once we get into the master plan and stuff, we're gonna make sure that everything is lined up perfectly of how the capital improvement is to be done, per the master plan. So it looks like by RRC regulations, it's like a department heads, mainly planning head. So it's the treasurer, the DPW, the chief of police, the mayor, the treasurer, the planning chair are supposed to get together and come up with the ideas, and then they're supposed to take to the planning commission, and the planning commission says yes, no, adds whatever, and then it goes to the city council. And then the city council passes it, weeks it or whatever. That is what the RRC stuff says. But it is not set in stone. So from talking to Mike, it sounds like it's pretty lax. If you want to change it up, want to do it, it's just a process that needs to be done every year.
Do we have to
Okay.
amend our charter? Our charter has a fairly specific sequence for CIP.
I don't know, I don't even know what the charter says.
It's basically department heads come up with it, and then the mayor, the planning commission representative from council meet with them and come up with a rating system. Then we bring that to the planning commission. And then the planning.
Oh, yeah, like that's like the rating system stuff,
Yeah.
that's like the details of everything, yeah, I mean, I think we would still want to do that, so we would
Yeah.
need to change,
So
know,
we
that
did
part.
leave that.
Yeah.
As is.
Yeah, cause that is something that we've done in the past, is rate, where you want it, which I'm sure you've
Yeah.
done in the past, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've read
It'd be
the
nice if
charter a
there was
million
just
times,
like
it still doesn't.
dense,
Yes, that's what we're
Little
working on
chart.
right now,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
finding like language that's just simple and to the point, because the pages that I read, I'm like, holy cow, this is a lot. And it was 4 pages, so
Yeah, in the past. uh, They have had that where it's been denoted as like immediate,
Mhm.
ongoing, and then like if there's grant money that is tied to it.
Yeah, if you put grant next to
Immediate
it, yeah.
grant or whatever the case may be.
And then there's a whole, we found a number system where you grade each thing, you put in yes, no, how many, and it gets so many numbers, and then that's how you rate it. So it's not just what you want done, it's kind of, you ask all, you like 10 questions, and it gives it a number, and whatever is the highest number is the highest thing that needs to be done first. So,
So. This gets presented to us at some point.
right,
And
this is because we want to get it in the budget, and the budget's due. I had the council come up with things, so now that we have the things, we'll bringing it to you guys to approve it, basically, so that we can release the budget, but as far as the CIP plan, it's not completed. We're gonna work on it with the master plan and make sure that we have it in the master plan on how we do it, how our steps are to doing it, and then it'll be the final master plan the final CIP plan in the master plan. That's correct.
So are we looking for,
The things yeah, I mean, basically, we're approving this for the budget, not necessarily the master plan.
Okay.
They added the two, McClintock Park. Because everything has to be over $5,000. So, we lumped the parks as, all the things that need to be done in the parks. So the two park things are new. And there was something else, library expansion. Now that one, we're still looking at, we're not sure. I think we can do things to the building, but I don't think we can use the CIP to buy a building. I mean, I think that's not a CIP plan thing, that's a council thing, where you want to buy another building, it's a council thing, whatever it is. I think you can make improvements to the library, like if you decide to do something, you can put that on there, but the way I'm understanding it is that as far as building onto a library or something like that, it wouldn't be a CIP plan thing. It would be more of a council wants to do this, thing. It's not like, it sounds, I don't know, that's kind of how I understand it, but I'm not 100% sure, so I still put it on here. Cause, we're gonna figure it out.
It may be in its own category.
Yes, yeah, like it's not part of the CIP, it's not capital improvement plan for the city, it's more, that would be a decision outside of the capital improvement plan. So if the city decided that they wanted to buy the building next door and expand for the library, it would be part of the capital plan. It'd be more like a project, like whatever thing that they decide to figure out.
Maybe there's like a special project.
Yeah, like it's,
It would be capital.
yeah, but
The
it's,
strict is definitely.
yeah, it was kind of fuzzy, like it kind of was fuzzy about how buying something or expanding. And I mean, in our situation, that would be the only thing how you could expand.
Wait, what else can you do?
Yeah, right. I mean, you would have to buy that building next door. So, I think it was just fuzzy and I wasn't sure if it was something that goes in the capital improvement, but you could definitely put the library on there as improving anything that, we came up with, but the expansion thing was kind of, I wasn't sure, so. I have to dig into that and see exactly what you could do for the library. But yeah, the library can be put on there. Just, that part I don't know. And then, the sidewalk from Woodbury, or that's a mistake. It should be on Woodbury, Grand River to Deerwood. That was put on there. The trees having, a citywide plan to repair and replace trees annually. Like there's a whole list of trees that need to be cut down, so. Replacing those. Every year as we. Which, we do get the, consumers grant every year usually, I mean, it's not guaranteed, but. We've gotten it the last 3 years, so, that's something we wanna keep doing. I think that was it.
So there's a couple that stick out to me that are on here. The drainage improvements at Bates Park
Mhm.
and the Looking Glass River development. I assume that's the property where the dump was.
Yep.
The boat, yeah.
Yep.
So what? Like with the Bates Park thing, that's been talked about now for.
It's been on the CIP plan for years.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, is there? I feel like we've sat here in this room for however many years and said, yeah, that we should definitely do something about that, and then
Mhm.
it recurs every year.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's been pushed down, down to the, pushed down a lot to the bottom. I know that is not the price that it's gonna cost.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly the history of how it's gotten moved and not done. But I know that the cost is yeah, considerably more than that, but that was the last one that was probably done, and I don't know what year that was estimated to be done. I know that it is been tried to get grants for it. The RAP grant was involved in the RAP grant. The first time, and then they took it out the second time we applied for it, for the piccolo. So, which, now that pickleball's in here, we may have a better chance of getting something for that, but we're pretty sure that's probably why we didn't get the RAP grant the second time around, because there were things in there that just kind of came up and they wanted in there, and we did not have it in the master plan, we didn't have it in Park and Rec, we had nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we're pretty sure that's probably why we didn't get it the second time around.
okay,
But, yeah, I mean. I mean, we can always go back and get an estimate on that again, and so we have a real number.
yeah, I mean, that is something that I think that a lot of people out here, I mean, I almost got stuck out there a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, when it rains, that's the
Yeah.
worst place. I mean, I'm old and it was like that when I was a kid, so.
well, and I think that being someone who lives here, you kind of get to know the areas
Yeah.
that you have to
Avoid.
avoid.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody coming in from out of town for games, I mean, that could
Yeah.
be a bad end of your day right there.
Yeah, oh, yeah, and it's a pain to mow.
Yeah, I'm certain of it. Okay, so that is something though, that really for that to be on here, we would need an updated.
Yeah.
Estimate.
How much is the DNR grant that we got for?
The
Well,
boat launch, 200,000. And I really want to iterate that that's a federal grant, and if we send that back, we're not ever getting a federal grant.
we cannot, yeah, we need to.
Yeah,
send it.
I mean, I know we get a lot of pushback on that grant, and I just am like, oh, God, don't do it, don't do it, because. It's gone up in price because of how long it took to
Yeah.
get and that wasn't us, that was them trying to figure out where the money was coming from
Right.
and who was because it changed. They changed
Yes.
where the money was coming from. So it's just, I know, we have some money into it, but at this point, it's too late to back out. I mean, it wouldn't we'd have too much money in it. I mean, now we've got too much money in it, not go forward with
Yeah.
it.
I'm sorry. For
The
which
boat
project?
For the
launch,
bubble.
Okay,
No, we didn't move forward with that.
yeah, I mean. It just would not make sense.
so
And
that's
it's
the
a lot
next
of
one
money.
that I was wondering about, because I think the last time we talked about that, that project seemed like it wasn't gonna be able to happen.
Yeah, we got the grant for it. So, but it's taken forever because, like I said, the state or the federal government was trying to figure out where the money was gonna come, because the original place wasn't there anymore, so then they had to figure it out, so it took. I mean, I think in 2022 is when we were approved for the grant, and we're just getting into it right now. So, they just sent out the RFPs or they're getting ready to send out the RFPs for the work, so. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. So, and that's like I said, a federal grant, so, you know.
Well, and I thought we had just thought that was approved,
Yeah.
like the first council meeting that I was on, remember?
Yeah, it's been approved, but I, every time I'm like, oh, people like start talking about it and I'm like, oh, no, don't.
Yeah, because that's when the
Don't-
library people perked up. It's like, oh, we can take that money from the library. It's like, no, you're not. Absolutely not touching.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I know everybody goes, oh, you got money for that? Well, that's, well, only thing it goes for, you can't change it, move it around.
so what is the action that we tonight need to take on this?
I think just approving this, or if you want to add, anything to it, because this is just for budgeting purposes, so that, you know, we have a kind of an outline to start putting the money towards. And then we're gonna really work on getting all the fine tuning things down, so we're ready for the master plan.
Do we need to rank these tonight?
No, cause we gotta go in and really figure out if we're gonna use that table, you know, what tables we can use to rank them.
Right.
And it's kind of like you have to take each one of these and rank them in a sequence and then go from there on how it is, and then deciding how we're gonna write those out. Like before, it was kind of like paragraphs and paragraphs of every single project, where we want to make it a little simpler and be like, this is what we're ranking in, this is what we're doing, this is how much we're putting into each one, so it's much more simple, and anybody can look at it. You know, they can pull up our master plan and look at it and go, oh, this is what the city's
Right.
goals are. Easy to look at.
Do we have a idea of what we budget every year for capital expense?
I do not have that number, but I'm
But
sure
there's
Danelle
gotta
would.
be some,
Danelle would
Yeah.
have, yeah, like what's going into every one of these.
I mean. And I'm not sure when we get into the master plan, I'm sure there will be some dialogue. It'd be almost nice if we could divide it up into like categories. Based on the survey, whether it's infrastructure, I mean, equipment, stuff like that. I mean, you have to maintain.
Right, which,
Park.
you know, that's a lot of things that have been taken off, are all of the, like, the DPW had a ton of stuff
Yeah.
on there, which has all been done.
Mhm.
So all those were removed, and these were what's left and haven't been completed. Thought. You know, next one, whatever. I know when, we get to the master plan, Mike is going to be here, I believe, next month, and that's gonna be the kickoff for the master plan.
Cool.
And I'm hoping to be ready with our CIP stuff, so that you guys can approve the process that we're gonna wanna do. And then have these, and then you guys should be able to rate them. So we'll have all that ready to go next month to rate these. And then, you know, I may have Danelle come to the next meeting, just so that she can do the budget part of, you know, what the money part. So she can explain how she moves that money into the capital improvement, and how much she does, and how that process works.
So effectively, what we're looking at right now, this is going towards so that we can try to get the budget together and then.
Yeah.
We can fine tune it within
Yeah.
the master plan.
Yes. Yeah, cause I mean, I need to figure out, if the parks are set up the right way, or if we need to have subcategories and how we do that part, because everything has to be $5,000 or more. To kind of, like some of the little things that are in parks, do you want to lump them together? So it comes up that, so I don't know if we need to do them as parks or if we need to be specific, on the the project. So those are things I've got a call or I've sent an email to, the RRC, girl, yeah, that helps us and I'm hoping she's gonna be able to help us with this too. So that way, we're doing it right and something more simple. I think it's a little complicated right now, the way we have it set up. In the master plan, I think it should be easy to read and any layman person can read it. And not have to be, what does this mean? Because I mean, I would look at it if I wasn't working here. I would look at the master plan and go, what is this? Good for them, but what are they doing with it?
Well, and I think even for the decision makers to say, hey, we know that we have roughly 200,000 a year to put towards capital. Because that sometimes will dictate your plan.
Right,
I know what we do in that work. I've got a 5-year capital expense idea. But boy, you have a good year, you might shift something from here up, or you have got a bad year, you gotta push something down.
right.
But at least give you the ability to negotiate some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Not to mention, if we are getting grant money for some of this and we have a limited window, then those might get shifted up.
Yeah,
so we can-
which I think has happened, like Bates Scout not getting done. I think there's just been things that have been shifted, like the DPW's equipment's failed, our servers failed, things like that, and it just keeps getting pushed down.
Pushed down.
Yeah.
And we are sending this to council.
This is coming from council, so we did it kind of
Gotcha.
backwards. So this is what they've added to it. We need your guys' approval that this is okay or something you want to add to it. And then we're gonna tweak it. But this is just for budget purposes for today.
I mean, from what I've seen of these in the past, this looks. In line with how it's supposed to look.
Right.
Generally, when we see these, there is a lot more detail along
Right.
in these lines, but yeah, I mean, this looks fine. This looks fine to me. Do either of you have any input on this? I mean, you've already, if it's coming from.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I think it's consistent with the master plan. It hits and it follows the survey that we did. People wanted a walkable community, sidewalks are on there, they mentioned the police and library that's on there. So I do feel like it's also reflective of public comment, which we're supposed to be taking into consideration. So I would feel comfortable with everything on here.
and I do believe we'll probably be doing another survey.
Oh,
With
great.
the
Cool.
master plan, yeah. They're gonna
Great.
take the last one, but I think it's gonna be more specific and,
Yeah.
a little bit more. To whatever it is, it's not gonna be just a random one, yeah,
Some sort of multiple choice or category.
Yeah.
So we can kind of get some actual data from it.
Yeah.
Great.
yeah, that's, yeah, and. We've done it before through Mike, and yeah, he'll put one together that'll.
Well, I've made a motion to move this for budget.
I second that.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion to approve the CIP plan passes. So the next item of business is the property maintenance plan.
So the first one, I believe was the, that was the one that Mike gave you guys to start with.
This is,
It's the, yeah, the big long one that,
Yes.
so I put that one on there and then I put, um. I think, like, an outline of what that Grand Rapids did, and then ours. And that was, I think, some of the, like, all the yellow was stuff that was stricken after we'd gotten it down to. The, going through it, getting it down, and then the yellow was. With all the stuff that was taken out. The last updated one.
I got the minutes from that meeting. It says that they removed 3739, removed the sentence motor vehicles should be stored on a driveway or in an accessory structure. Remove language, remove 3.16, language change to 3.21, 49. But so I guess I will go back and try to. So some of like 4.9 is in what you sent us still. That's the emergency entry authorization. I do not see some of the other ones. Unless.
Well, yeah. I don't remember, and this I believe was the last one that we.
Yeah, so 316 is in what you gave us, but that was removed. That was the exterior structural protective. 321 rubbish, garbage, they amended. Which, and I understand why they wanted to amend it to protect. People with rentals, having the tenants not do it. My opinion is landlords could write that into the lease. And then
Wow.
it would reduce the amount of work that the city had to enforce it, instead of having to enforce it on all of someone's tenants, they can enforce it on the landlord. And he's profiting from it.
Right.
They should be enforcing that, not the police officers.
Well, and I believe that some communities have a separate maintenance plan for people that own rentals. I mean, we are very lax here with our rental. I mean, anyone can come in here, buy a house and rent it, and there's no, there's no inspections, there's no nothing. I mean, we are very easy to community to buy and rent, which is great. But I also think they have to, I mean, when you look around and the majority of the rentals are the worst houses in the town, that's when you gotta, say, okay. And it should land on the, I mean, I would think that if I owned a house here and my renter wasn't keeping up the property, it would come back to me.
And I don't know that this is an appropriate place for it. I think we should have a rental code.
Mhm.
I think if you're an income property of any sort, you should be held to a higher standard than.
Yeah.
A homestead property. I don't know if that's something we could add to this, or is that a whole different thing we need to look at?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
I would suggest we make another one.
yeah, I mean, that's how I would make it, I think, easier to
Yeah.
have a whole separate one where you're not mixing in what,
Mhm.
Regular homeowners are with, rentals. So, I mean, that's how I think most cities do
They
it.
have,
I
I don't
mean,
know if it'd be like section 2 of the maintenance code for income.
Right.
properties. Because then you can apply it to storefronts as well,
right,
so.
yeah,
Right, and then probably start with a planning commission.
yeah, because, all this stuff starts with planning. And that's something that, I can talk to Mike about too, is, how that's usually done and, but, I've heard several people say how easy it is,
Yeah.
here, and we're very easy to, on rental people. But, when the first house you see is a rental, when you come into town, it's kind of.
Well,
It's
it's, yeah,
not what we want you to see when you first
Right.
come into town.
it's something every community needs to have.
Mhm.
But I think by having a code, we can also then. Determine what percentage of our properties are rentals and kind of monitor that
Right.
too. That's kind of
Yeah.
outside of the scope of this. I guess my thought with this, if we could get that original, what was sent to council.
the actual property maintenance code?
What
Oh.
what we approved
Okay,
in Central
Yeah,
Council.
I can look through the
Well, and
planning meeting to try to find what you guys
I
approved too. I
think-
just curious what some of those.
is it not on the website?
Probably not the original.
It should be.
I thought when I pulled it up, it looks like it's still a revised version, like if there was one, if like if you linked it to the one file and then when you changed it, it retroactively changed those versions of it.
So do you want the one that, the first one that was changed or the,
I
First
like the
one
one
for
that
changes.
was sent to council for approval.
Before changes. From.
oh, okay,
I drove the community night for 15 minutes when I got home from work and I. There's so many parts of this community that are thriving, and look great, and then there's a pickup truck with a tarp on that Grand River. I mean, that was in the maintenance code and could be addressed.
Right. And then they
So-
took it out.
And quite frankly, I think if we could get to, if. I'd like to respect the amount of time that was put into it by the previous planning commission. I know they put a lot of work into it. I think at a minimum, it deserves to go to a council that's going to read it thoroughly
Yes.
and have
Yeah.
an informed discussion on it, not a.
Lazy council.
So, well, I was just,
Well, it
it
was-
became very heated.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I think it was, yeah, I mean, it was one or two people. Saying stuff and people like, oh, no, okay, we won't do that, and not really having a grasp on what it meant when you said.
A
you're
lot of
not
false
gonna do that.
information was given them.
Yeah, well,
It got passed. Because a lot of stuff got taken out of it, and I just. I think if there were some ground rules on that would be good. If it's, got a house that has a bunch of peeling paint on it, you shouldn't be commenting on that part of it.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
agree with what you guys sent originally. I think if we want, and I think one of the commenters said, hey, if we want to attract people to this community. We have to.
Yeah.
We have to not be so polar, there's some very, very nice communities and some, we need to set a standard. So.
Yeah, it went back and forth. Now you're bringing back.
I'm sorry.
So,
Yes, Dave.
Yeah, right.
so to me, I think that for us to be able to move forward, I think that the best thing that we could do would be to review and discuss the original property maintenance code that we had sent to council originally. Talk amongst ourselves, see if we, agree that we like that. Maybe there's some things in that original that we might want to tweak a little
Yeah.
bit. And then send that.
Yeah.
To council.
That makes perfect sense, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll reach out to Mike. Cause I'm sure he's got the everything, cause. Even though I was here,
I
I
may,
wasn't involved. I mean, like, it was when I wasn't here, wasn't technically running it.
there's a chance that I might be able to dig it up. I'd have to search.
Which I may be able to find it on which I thought that was the one, but that might have been the one before. It wasn't the original one, cause it went back and forth. How many times? I can't even remember, cause that might be the last one that was. So we want to look at the original one, so I'd probably have to go back. It's gotta be in the minutes, in the agenda and stuff,
Somewhere in
so,
there.
yeah. So I'll go back and look. Where we started it, like the very first month. In, I guess it wasn't, well, maybe it would have been the next month there. 'Cause I know it was a long process and. I thought I had the right one, but maybe I didn't. So I'll get hold of Mike and see if he has all that in a file somewhere. He might be able to, throw it at me like, okay, this was the first one, second one, third one. And what, I'll pick his brain before I go on my search. See if he may have all that stuff ready. Waiting.
If not, let me know and I'll try to.
Yeah, I just gotta go back and figure out when it started. And what? It was 23? Or 20,
It might have been 23 that we started the conversation.
right, and then,
Cause I think that the original that we were presented was the. Like, as far as something to work off of, was the one from Luddington. Which is huge.
Right.
And then. If I'm recalling correctly, we got that one and it was like, this is
yeah.
wild.
Too, yeah,
And then we were shown the Grand Rapids one. And that seemed. That seemed more realistic to.
yeah, it was a little
work
bit
off of.
smaller and
Yeah.
like, but see, I think Paula was in on all that to begin with, and I
To start with,
wasn't,
yes.
yeah, so. Yeah, I will. Be able to go back and find it. Well, it's like April of 23, property maintenance is on the agenda,
Mhm.
so. That's, okay.
Have you heard any comment from Dan about the enforceability or?
Yeah, I mean. Some of the stuff, he hears, people will call up here and complain, and he's like. Can't do anything, there's not a rule that says they can't do that. I mean, my opinion was, there's one house you can go stand in, well, at the time, there were two houses you go stand in front of, and everything you see, make it a rule, make it a code,
Yeah, well,
I mean, like, if you see what you see and you're looking at it, those are the people, that's what people
Yeah.
are complaining about. I mean. You'd stand in front of there and go, do we want the house to look like this? Do we want this sitting out? Want this, you could.
Yeah.
We did get the, so that they couldn't have the dumpsters in their, front of their houses for, they had to have regular trash, they couldn't just have a dumpster sitting there. Which they had to remove it, so that was one good thing, but, that was minor. The things that needed to be, addressed.
Because in that survey that came up multiple times, light, let's clean up
Yeah.
the light.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
We had a tool to do it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
lessened it.
Yeah, and, I mean, just sitting in the office and answering the phone, we could tell you exactly what the problems were and what, and Dan hearing it, people calling and saying, well, why is this and why, I'm like, yeah, well. And then they really died it when we thought we were gonna be able to, it was just a little bit.
So, yeah, I think that we should, um. Try to find that original one that we had sent to council. Review that next month. And you said Mike is gonna be here next month.
Yep.
So that'll be great to have him here
Yeah.
for that discussion as well.
Cause he was there from the very beginning and all the way through it, so
Yeah,
he'll have a good idea.
and I'd like the goal for next month's meeting to be able to have something. Out of that meeting to be able to send to council.
Yeah,
don't
and
see why
I,
we
Hey,
wouldn't be
if
able
you
to-
find the original one, send it to us so we can look at it before the meeting.
yeah,
that'd be
I will,
great.
I will,
Before
I'll
prepared.
talk to Mike tomorrow and I'll give him a call and see if he's got a file on it or whatever, so that he can actually, I'm sure he's got a step-by-step of what happened, because he was involved in the whole thing, so.
If you have that, I was gonna reach out to Randy and see if you want to sit down and go over his
Yeah.
thoughts on what, I mean,
Yeah,
I know he seemed very passionate about it. He spent a lot of time on it, so.
Yeah, you certainly did.
yeah. He did have, and he had a lot of ideas of what He thought. A little bit higher standard. so-
Well,
You know?
yeah. I don't want to see my yard, so it's pretty.
He is very particular.
Yes, he is.
So let's. I think let's have a motion to. Table this till next month with the intention of having something to send up to council and review.
So motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Nays? Motion carries. All right, next order of business is the master plan update.
That's basically what we already told you, but, Mike will be here next month and will be the kickoff. So he's gonna handle the information, he can give me the ins and outs of what's gonna be, but I met with the team last week. And they are ready to go, so I'll be starting it off in the next meeting.
You have an estimated time how long it's gonna take you?
About 8 to 9 months. It takes, everything,
Is that great? Cover most of that?
covers it all,
Great.
yeah. You know, that's really great, 'cause I don't want to do.
Oh, I skimmed a few cities who have had them done. I think Perry had theirs redone
Yeah.
not too long ago. It looks great.
Yeah.
It's a really nice, I didn't go through all the detail, but I planned on getting some ideas for this and stuff.
Yeah, he did mention that, that, our old master plan is a lot of wording. Where this new one being with graphs and, lots of visual stuff, so that's exciting to. Have everyone understand it, and not just a book to read,
Cool. That'd be refreshing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I suppose we'll look forward to that next month.
Alright, going good with our 4 meetings of the year, so we're good with that. I'm sure there'll be lots more, but we're covered now.
We do not have to vote on that. There's nothing. Is there any other items, anything that anybody would like to discuss?
Only thing I had was the rental code, so. That could be, I'm not sure how to move forward with that, or we can start exploring.
I'll add that.
That's my, yeah, first step of it.
Any other comments?
Nope.
I will adjourn this meeting. 7:45.